So, Ottomans versus HRE. Do you have any thoughts?
We just did that.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, time for a repeat. All right. I mean, we just saw how it went, but we also saw how it could have potentially gone, right? The question is this going to go the same way again? Honestly, like HRE, they are still a very, very solid civilization. They do have their timings. I still think Ottomans, they're a force to be reckoned with in the late game, especially like in any matchup where you kind of like skip over feudal age. That's where Ottomans just feel better, because Ottoman feudal age is not the best. It's not the best. There are some matchups where Ottoman feudal age is very, very solid, but it's not the best overall. And when you're able to just get past feudal age and go straight into castle age and later, that's where Ottomans really feel comfortable. But we have to see how exactly this one's going to play out. We have a little guess from the last game, but now it's time, as I think we are able to load into our first game of the last set of today. CsOH vs Kiljardi, let's dive in.
Hell yes, brother. Crackedy, we are on the most wonderful map if you are an Arcane Chapel enjoyer, depending on the spawn, of course. This is a pretty okay spawn, I would say, as an HRE player. I do enjoy a spawn such as this one, but it does feel a little bit open, but definitely not the worst one he could have had. Kiljardi, on the other hand, going for the military school. We're seeing the same thing happen again and again, and we've been seeing a lot of barracks happening for people in the early stages of the game. Why are we not seeing that today? Specifically for Ottomans.
I mean, military school, it's just slow. Typically, like, military school is very slow. I feel like most of the time we also just have the need for players to go for that very early dealer, which is why they prefer to actually just go for the barracks immediately, because you get the spearmen out quite a bit earlier. Looks like CsOH, though, is going to go for a very, very early deer denial there. At least he killed the first deer, but other than that, yeah, okay, he's going back to looking for the sheep here in this game.
Yeah, both of these civs, they do enjoy having enough sheep, at least at the start, when you have that early aggression expectation from both. But we do see a clear winner here between... Oh, no, actually, never mind. That does look pretty even. Now, for those of you wondering, by the way, we are forwarding through the Dark Age as we're trying to catch up to the live games a little bit. So we do get to enjoy the quick sheep running going down in the game.
Yeah, the quick sheep running here. At the early game, there's always just the... there's not much action going on, especially in this one, as we do not actually have the spearman rush coming in from the Holy Roman Empire. Kiljardi is still deer luring, and is going to do that with a single spearman here at the moment.
And he's doing a pretty good job at this. I mean, when I start doing this, I do lose my mind and my deer goes in all the directions. So watching someone like Kiljardi do it, I feel inspired. I feel inspired by someone who can actually do this so well. And you can see, very, very well moving closer. And now with two spearmen, this is going to be child's play. But on the other hand, CsOH has a double deer pack. And Crackedy, I remember earlier in this cast, we talked a little bit about how double deer packs can be an advantage, but also a very big disadvantage. Now, when you have two deer packs like this on the side of CsOH, I think you're a pretty happy camper, because you know you are HRE, and your pace of the game, you could potentially get these pretty quickly, and pretty safely as well.
Yeah, exactly. You can get these pretty quickly. At the same time, it also makes it a lot easier to deny the pro-scale play. If all the deer are at the same spot, it means that you just need to be in one spot on the map in order to completely cut off your opponent from the deer, if you're able to hold that position. Kiljardi here, he's going to get all the deer nicely lured up underneath his town center. It's going to be a lot of food here for him. Definitely something to be happy with. We know from the last time we saw this matchup, Ottomans didn't quite manage to get the deer nicely underneath the TC in a situation where they definitely would have loved to have them. Now we see an early stable coming in as well. CsOH, though, looks like he just wants to go for the castle age rush. We do also have a stable come in for him. So most likely just wants to get a couple of horsemen. Actually, no, it is Pro Scout. Yeah, it is Pro Scout. He is getting Pro Scouts in. But behind that, is he just going to go for a straight up castle rush right after? Kind of feels like it if he wants to get the outpost up there this early on the gold vein.
Now, getting the tower out here is going to be so powerful, especially when you're so scared of an Ottoman pushing, etc. So it does open it up to, oh, never mind, we have some problems. The spearmen are already here, and ladies and gentlemen, that villager is in some danger, but this tower is in a lot more danger, and that refund was not a refund.
It's halved. Yeah.
I was not a happy refund at all. And now the problem is...
Great discount.
Definitely. The problem is now, you're getting the scouts, and yeah, what you said, it can also be a disadvantage. Because now you have 3 spearmen blocking both deer packs. And these guys are going to have to go all the way onto the other side of the map to actually get some deer. And this is not a happy set of villagers on here.
Do see that we once again have the Imam Vizier point coming in for Ottoman players. So Kiljardi did invest into those Vizier points. Imams that will now cross across the map. Also, first couple of Sipahi coming in, a meta to accompany them as well. CsO investing into men-at-arms. That's an interesting one. Kiljardi is going to have the tools in order to just heal up his spearmen and just out-heal the damage from the men-at-arms earlier on. But we also see the archer range coming in, so it's going to be a mixture of archers in there as well, where the Sipahi are going to do quite well, but mix in spearmen as well, and it starts to become a little bit more difficult.
And the problem is when you're getting this type of composition, this is a very food-heavy composition as well. And right now, this is not looking too great. The deer pack's completely denied, for now at least. But with the amount of units that we're seeing out of Kiljardi, it does feel like he could potentially keep control of this for a while. Although, when you start to get to a handful of men-at-arms, even the Sipahis might struggle to deal with them, because now the spearman numbers are increasing. And I don't see any archers from Kiljardi. He's not going to have an answer to dealing with those anytime soon.
And CsO now rushing up the outpost on his gold vein means that he is going to have secured gold access here very, very soon, which will just allow him to now boom up all the way to Castle Age from this position onwards. Is still pro scouting behind this now as well. Has once again secured access to the deer at the top side behind us. He's also been taking away the second deer pack from Kiljardi.
Now, that deer pack that Kiljardi pushed in just means that this is a very safe one, but this one is ripe for the taking, and Kiljardi not making any plays for it. He's just going full aggressive. Now, the Imams, they definitely give you quite an edge at this point of the game, but they're so slippery, and you can lose them easily if you're not careful. Now you can see he's getting a lot on the gold, and I don't think this is one of those where he's getting a lot on the gold to try and age up. This feels like I'm not going to have gold forever. Let me get as much as I can, because I'm going to need them for my units. So I'll see if this is going to work out, because the thing is, even the secondary gold is all the way over here. The other ones are, again, just stacked with a deer. It feels like a very compromising position to have. But at the same time, look at these units. He's got so many. And this is pretty scary to deal with.
Yeah, just a little bit of everything here at the moment when it comes to the unit army composition here from CsO. And he just keeps massing units nonstop, also getting economy upgrades behind this. And still, the pro scouting is ongoing. Kiljardi hasn't quite been able to shut down all the sources from the deer so far.
The problem is he's now moved that army into a position where they're not going to be able to deny the pro scouting on this side. And this is the opening for CsO to actually get the deer that he was awarded by spawning here. So this is going to be a lot easier for him to now get that food and get ahead. So moving the army into this position for the last bit of deer that were left, this could be quite costly.
The amount of Sipahi is getting quite large now at this point in time. Sipahi in mass are just a really, really strong unit. Honestly, this is This could be a tough situation for CSO, but his economy is still just looking so solid here behind us. He still is adding in so much military. 12 archers, though, are more than enough to start one-shotting the spearmen. This is the kind of count that you want to have, being able to one-shot the spearmen. You don't really need much more at this point in time. You just got to make sure that those spearmen go down quickly, and the Sipahi can deal with everything else.
It does feel like CSO is getting a lot of gold here. And again, I don't know if this is gold that he wants to go castle with or that he even intended to do so. But the number's pretty big and he's not getting any military upgrades just yet, but they will be following pretty soon. Now, that's just going to mean he's going to have a lot and enough for at least a little while. But now, siege engineering coming through, and this is going to be a lot easier for him to break through. But Kiljardi, let's just hope he listens to what is written in his name, kill, and don't get killed, because he can easily overcommit here. We know what HRE can do when it comes to survivability.
It's a classic cook or get cooked type situation here now, and there it is. First ram coming in now for Kiljardi. He's also like, he's just going to use the spearmen here for the ram and try and use the archers every now and then to just harass the gold vein from CSO. And CSO is floating a lot of gold here at the moment. He's also getting a lot of men-at-arms out, though, at the same time. So he is definitely respecting the aggression coming in from Kiljardi here. And these men-at-arms are actually going to be doing an amazing job here on the defense, as they do have a good amount of armor, even against the Sipahi. The Sipahi do actually, like, they slap. They got a lot of melee damage on them.
Now, I want you to notice how quickly CSO is moving these villagers back and forth. Instantly, the moment the archers poke their heads out, he is on top of this. He does not blink. This man catches everything. But now the Sipahis are looking like they're a bit aggressive. The problem is just they should not be too aggressive. Emergency repairs coming out now, and villagers going out there a little bit of on the side of danger. But the Sipahis now trying to collapse. The problem is just there is a little bit of a back raid coming too, and the archers might be in a bit of danger. Imams! But the ram goes down instead.
Ooh, Archer is trying to focus down the spearman. First Imam did just go down. Second Imam going down now as well. No more healing coming in. The Sipahi mass just kind of disintegrated here at the front line. The Archers, they're actually, they weren't able to focus down all the spearmen in time. Not that many spearmen remaining at the moment from CSO, but the Sipahi mass has been cleaned up completely now. And Kiljardi, he just lost his entire military. He just lost his entire tempo advantage. And CSO, he still is in such a comfortable position now after all of this. So many men-at-arms in his army composition still alive. And this means that CSO, because he invested so much into the economy upgrades behind this as well, he's got a flourishing economy inside of his base, while Kiljardi just lost a ton of military force out on the field.
This is such a tough spot because Kiljardi's army, not all together, even though the numbers were pretty even, it definitely made this fight a lot harder. A CSO not having any upgrades up until that point, he must be really happy with how that went, because it feels like now he can just naturally go to castle, and the units that he can make, they're not units that Kiljardi will be able to deal with at any point.
Not just that, but he also already has 14 men-at-arms that he can upgrade, so 14 armored units immediately for him. CSO, he's looking really strong in this one, straight off the gate.
Now with the Sipahi, he's taking a note from the previous game. We just saw Lucifron raiding non-stop, and hopefully for Kiljardi, he can find some damage as well. But the units are going towards his base too, and he does see them, and will not let them pass just yet. But like you said, with the Ottomans, they do get to tick, 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 and actually catch up pretty quickly. Now, this is not that scary of an Ottomans just yet, and he is struggling for resources. You can see him now getting that tower and the gold as well. He knows he needs to be scared. But the cathedral coming through now is just going to make sure that these guys are ready to be upgraded. We see with the amount of villages on gold, even though he doesn't have it right now, he's going to have it pretty soon. And every single unit in front of him will be a lot scarier than they are now.
Yeah, Ragnar's Cathedral as well, just allowing CSO to get these relics in now, as he is already preparing prelates from his TC to send out onto the map to immediately vacuum up these relics. Kiljardi, he's trying to go for a little raid here with a couple of Sipahi, but honestly, Whamen at this point in time, Is he gonna get much value? He's gonna find the villagers on the age up. We do have fortitude activated, so these Sapai are gonna have a lot more attack speed now for this attack. Good couple of villagers are actually gonna go down here. Kiljardi finding very good raid value, actually really good raid value. Look at that, 9 villagers, 10 villagers. Make that all the villagers that CsOH just used to age up, they're all done. They're all gone. In the blink of an eye, and Kiljardi, he's not too far away from aging up himself now. After a brilliant raid. That was incredible.
And that just shows you exactly what a good timing can do, and a very bad opportunity of a placement can look like. And even though CSO on paper did nothing wrong there, it just was the perfect play by Kiljardi. Kiljardi coming in at the right moment. But, ladies and gentlemen, even though Kiljardi killed his whole age up villager mass, he does not have an answer to these bad boys. 14 men-at-arms coming straight at him. This is going to be a tough one. Now, these men-at-arms...
Istanbul Imperial Palace coming in the Whamen. That's not the landmark that we typically see from the Ottomans.
And that just means he's going to be able to get those vizier points. Do they get them instantly, Crackedy?
No, they don't get them instantly. Maybe he can get the crossbow vizier point right now, just in order to survive. There's the it's the second one on the right. Yeah, that one.
This one.
So
okay.
all your garrisoned villagers will shoot crossbows with bonus damage up against heavy units.
Well, he definitely needs something. Oh, that's exactly what he does. Look at that. He just gets it, and now they will do a little bit more damage. That's pretty wild. He knows how to adapt.
Kiljardi knows, yeah. He knows that he just did a lot of damage and now he just needs to survive. And there we go. You could just see, like, did you see? Like, it's making the sounds as well. A lot of crossbow shots being fired there. Behind this, we do get veterancy in on the archers. Just gonna take a little bit more time for that to come through. Kiljardi, he needs a gate. He's got the wall there in the back that he can run through. He's fighting without the veterancy upgrades. He doesn't need to. He could just retreat past the wall. Is not doing so at the moment. This could still be tough. He's losing the archer count. They're still not upgraded yet. He's fighting with feudal age units up against castle age units. The upgrades aren't in yet. Kiljardi's losing his military mass.
And just waiting a few more seconds to let those kick in could have changed this fight to be very, very different. Because now we see the knights are doing the same. Men-at-arms from every single angle. And the archers, they definitely did a lot of damage. But Kiljardi, he lost a lot more than he needed to.
But
he's okay.
He did manage to hold on, but it's an unfortunate loss there on the Sapahi count. He had a lot of Sapahi, now he does not.
Yeah, getting those Sapahis back as well will take quite a while because
the relics though.
Oof, that is true. They're all just getting sucked up by CSO right now. And a 5 relic HRE, it might be worth it to lose 13 villages.
He's going up to Imp. He's just gonna go Swabia.
You realize,
give a man a fish and you feed him for a day. Give a man a palace of Swabia and, he's gonna have a fun night.
CSO's not hoping to make it a long night, I hope, because this feels like a pretty heavy push from Kiljardi, and he doesn't want to give Kiljardi too much of time, but at the same time, Kiljardi, knowing that there's Palace of Swabia coming, probably doesn't want to let the HRE just do what they're doing. Now the question is Kiljardi not just going to be able to do damage here? The thing is, with the tower here and
oh, he's
archers,
putting on the goggles.
Oh no, he's going straight for it. He gets a prelate, but the rest of them are just fighting. It looks like these men-at-arms are actually going to be able to handle this pretty well. Mehter gets focused down, and even though these archers have an extra little bit of defense, that Mehter is dead, so they don't have that anymore. And all of a sudden, Kiljardi's army is the one just thinning out.
Yeah, thinning out indeed. I mean, this just hurts so much now at the moment. Look at those archers going down. Kiljardi just being a little bit too overzealous. He knows that he did a ton of damage to the villagers, but he also knows that his opponent just got all the relics. CSO did have to reinvest into the military, so now he's not that close to the to Imperial Age as he was earlier. Kiljardi, he's also not looking that good. How many military schools are we at the moment for Kiljardi? I don't think there are too many. Yeah, it's still just one military school for him inside of his base, so it's not looking that great. And that's a lot of villagers on stone. Is that gonna be like for a second TC now?
Oh, with the amount of villages...
Feels like it.
Yeah, because we saw this as well with Ottomans. When the HRE went up to Imperial, getting that second TC allows you to stay up to date. But at the same time, Kiljardi, he knows he did a significant amount of damage. The question he just has to ask himself, do I want this to go later? Or how do I end this? Because we know HRE is also a civilization that just doesn't want to die. It doesn't matter what you do. So now he is getting closer and closer. And Crackedy, we're seeing 3,000 gold again. You know what that means?
That means that CSO could just drop a market and buy his way up to Imperial Age at the moment.
And he
definitely has the economy for it.
With 5 relics and just a handful of villagers on gold, this is a very, very happy man. He's even inspiring the gold villagers because he knows a man with enough gold can never go hungry. Now, Palace of Swabia coming down, I was giving it that sus look because it was at 2,400 food, and I was like, is he going? No, that'd be wild. But he does go for the Palace of Swabia. We'll see if the knights can actually do some damage.
Yeah, Palace of Swabia is now coming in, as you mentioned. We do have a couple of Janissaries, so these knight raids, as long as Kiljardi can get in position in time, he can definitely react to those. But CSO, he's so good at raiding and keeping knights alive during those raids and just overall buying himself a ton of time in these situations. Kiljardi at the moment, sure, he's 10 villagers ahead, but his opponent has 5 relics with the HRE. So in theory, it's more like CSO actually being ahead by 10 villagers at this point in time, just based on the income.
That must feel like a very tough position to be in, because gold being very finite is not a resource that you want your opponent to have unlimited of. And Town Center now coming down for Kiljardi, which just tells us that he wants this game to go a little bit longer, that he can get back economically, knowing that his opponent is on 5 relics. But it doesn't feel like the right move when you're against an HRE, but at the same time, he doesn't have a way to kill him. There's no way to break through this fortress of farms and tower. Singular.
And now, CSO, I mean, Kiljardi got the second TC in, but with the Palace of Swabia, it's like CSO just went from 1 to 4 TCs total. So overall, the scaling definitely in favor of CSO, especially in combination with the relics. Kiljardi, he's got one last big army here mustered that he wants to push in with, but these outposts, they got relic inside of it as well, so a lot more range and a lot more damage on these Springald emplacements. He is diving in deep though. CSO, it is time for him to garrison all of the villagers. A lot of them will get taken down here by the army from Kiljardi. We do have a little bit of a choke point situation here as well. Not that big of a backline at the moment from CSO. It's mostly just at the front. These men-at-arms, a couple of archers, hand cannoneers, mostly just in queue at the moment. But it is enough, and the pressure with all of these outposts and with all of these emplacements here just forced Kiljardi back out of the base after he lost a lot of his military once again. Killed a lot of villagers, but up against the Palace of Swabia, this does not feel worth it.
And those were very, very expensive units. Units that you cannot get that easily. You need a lot of time. And I don't think CSO is going to be giving him that time. You can see CSO is right now trying to do some damage, because he knows there's nothing you can make that can actually take these down in the right amount of numbers, at least. Focusing down every single villager he can find to try and equalize that kill count. But now, with Swabia added, that feels like something that is very easy to attain. Now with the outpost now, we can see the bombard emplacements, and this is just going to make it so difficult to handle cannon emplacements. These guys, they shoot rockets, and it doesn't feel like anything that Kiljardi can make is going to be enough, because, ooh, hello, great bombard! He says no, actually, I've got one of these. So the bombard she tells you not to worry about. This man, he's going to be blowing up HRE towers, ladies and gentlemen.
This still feels very tough though, CSO. I mean, having all of these emplacements, you can always just emergency repair and buys you so much time. This is not the great bombard that you know about, that's, well, rather that you're used to. This is an early great bombard that the Ottomans can spawn through Vizier Point. You do get it instantly, and it does auto-upgrade to the normal one upon hitting Imperial Age, but it does have reduced stats at the moment in Castle Age. So instead of doing 70 base damage, it does 55, it has a little bit less HP, it does a little bit less damage to buildings. but it's still probably the best siege unit you can have access to in the Castle Age.
So instead of getting the siege production, you can just get siege from the TC with the right landmark. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Istanbul Imperial Palace, the first one we've seen in our lives. You guys might be wondering, isn't this the most glorious one? No, it's not. The next one is. The Imperial Age Up is going to be even spicier, but if we even get there. So this is the wonderful part of seeing something like Ottomans. We never get to see them go for any other landmarks because they've been very linear for quite a while, because there's just something that is better than the others. This Great Bombard, Crackedy, you were right. It does not do that well, like the usual ones we see. But the emergency repairs is going to make this a little bit longer lived. But the Spahis, they do look for some damage, and it seems like the farm is first on their list. Another one.
And he just one-shots that farm with the Great Bombard here, so every single shot, that's minus 75 wood in the end for CSO that he had to invest into. Outpost now is getting focused down. That's a relic in there, so that's definitely value. Kiljardi also producing some knights now behind all of this. Just needs to get more and more units out at the moment. We are at an even unit mass between the two. 36 men-at-arms, so, and we're even getting elite army tactics in Whamen. Do we even have elite men-at-arms? These still look...
They are!
No, they are actually elite. They're gonna be fully upgraded outside of blacksmith upgrades, but they're gonna have full university upgrades on them. They're gonna be looking to just rush in there and take care of the military force from Kiljardi, and he doesn't have a great counter there because he didn't go for the Mehmet Imperial Armory. He does not have 10 Springles to help him at the moment.
The problem is, this bombard is also just firing right at the Swabia, and it feels like the moment they move out, this bombard tower is just going to do work. The surround is happening, and they get to the back line so quickly, but it's from every single side, and it just looks like this is going to be a flood, Crackedy.
It is. With elite army tactics, these units just do not die to the Janissaries, Castle Age Janissaries versus elite men-at-arms. And it looks like CSO is going to be able to do it here in game number 1 with the Holy Roman Empire up against the Ottomans from Kiljardi. A lot of aggression, a lot of villager kills, but in the end, it was not enough. GG comes in.
Apparently, at the pro level, you can get away with going men-at-arms only. And honestly, I'm writing that down. That is absolutely wonderful. Oh my goodness. That elite army tactic, wait time. He held back. He knew I might lose some things, but I'm going to wait for the elite army tactics to surround perfection. Kiljardi, he has a very difficult opponent ahead of him. And this does not feel like it's going to be a very smooth way going into the final part. So, we do have the next matchup, French versus Delhi. And I do know that people say French deals with Delhi like a knife with butter. You just scoop it right up. What has your experience been in the French-Delhi matchup?
I wouldn't say it's like a hot knife through butter. It's more like French have the tools in order to deal with the early sacred side rushing from the Delhi. But Delhi are still. Delhi are broken. We're jumping into our game number 2 now between CSO and Kiljardi.
And CSO now being one up, we can see that he is going to feel very happy with this. But why do they not deal with it that well?
I mean, French do. I meant to say French do deal well with the early feudal age play from the Delhi, where they do go for the sacred sites. Mainly because they do have armored units very early on. They're able to keep up with the Ghazi Raiders, which are probably they are the second best horsemen in the game. They do some bonus damage to heavily armored units as well. The thing is, French, they get chivalry. And Delhi are able to just heal normally with scholars, but French being also able to heal their knights means that they have a way of just also regenerating their units, going for hit and run tactics. That's typically something that Delhi like to do, and just gives you a lot more tempo overall, which is honestly if you're able to deny sacred sites from the deli, they will struggle. They need that kind of tempo. They will need that kind of map control in order to be as strong as they can possibly be.
Now, with French, that mobility also just helps so much when you know the civilization you're up against. They love moving out for resources, especially when those first berry patches, they do run out. Dome of the Faith now coming up, and, you know, once the knights get on these points of gold as well, this is quite an expensive wall to make, and it does feel like his position is a little bit exposed. The deer, pretty close to the base, but again, it will require some investment to get there. We'll see if the School of Cavalry will actually allow him to do so. But we are seeing now a little bit of gold coming in, but this does not look like pro scouting type of gold to me. Oh, it might be.
It does not, and we do know CsO, right? Like CsO, he does go for pro scout. He might not go for it immediately, but something that we will for sure see in this game is an abundance of knights. CsO is a knight enjoyer through and through, and yeah, chances are he's going to be massing up a lot of them in this game. I wouldn't even be surprised like if CsO just went full on knights and didn't even bother making any other unit in this game.
That's exactly what was on my mind right now. I was thinking, oh, this man, he sometimes does this thing where it's just no spears, no archers, you just make knights. With enough knights, ladies and gentlemen, CsO has a message for you.
Second stable.
Yeah, at this point of the game, what more do you need?
CsO now just has to hope that this doesn't get to Castle Age when Kiljardi gets elephants, which just completely mess cavalry up. Like, elephants, it's not even close. They can take on like 5 knights at the same time and be fine and take all of them down.
Yeah, this does feel like one of those things where you let your opponent rest and they do get ahead, but CsO has not shown us to be that kind of guy. He definitely has shown us that he can dominate and constantly put on the aggression when needed. Now, the first knight and its journey is underway. We do see him running into that Ghazi Raider, and that charge just obliterated him. He now needs to run back to his family and go to the hospital for a few months because this man needs to be healed. He does have the scholars at home that could help out.
They got a great healthcare.
Yeah, they got some German healthcare in it. This is not the... Dental.
He just took a lance to the face, and he's gonna get a complete jaw replacement.
If a dentist is doing my jaw replacement, gosh damn it, Crackedy. What are you guys doing there in Germany?
Experimental science. It's experimental healthcare. You just take the old jaw out, you put the new jaw in. It's a... modular system.
Yes. Science. Guys, Germany is ahead of their time. Look at that. Healthcare systems right there working. That was a jaw replacement if I've ever seen one. Oh my goodness.
You just reattach the arm. There we go. Time to charge once again.
Now, this knight barely took a hit. He's like, come at me, bro. And the rest of them, they're just chasing around him. And they get to do that. But now... Pro Scouts, I was wrong. This man is pro scouting because he just wants to make knights. But with those amounts that he's going to be getting, he's very happily going to be doing that. The thing is now, he's going to be quite mobile, but at the same time, he cannot slow down on denying all these Ghazi Raiders and their aggression, because this can get quite scary pretty fast. Now, one of the knights does get blocked. Ooh. Beautiful surround here by Kiljardi, and one of the Ghazi Riders will pay the price.
Ghazi Raider did get taken down. A Ghazi Raider for a knight, though, that doesn't feel like the most equivalent of traits. And what is this? We do actually have a little switch up here. CsO adding in an archer range, which is strange considering so far Kiljardi has only shown that he's interested in one thing and one thing only, and that is Ghazi Raiders. But actually, it looks like CsO might have spotted something. A barracks, perhaps, as Kiljardi is now starting to add in some spearmen. So CsO already ready with the counter here.
He's going into yet another Ghazi Raider, so this shows he is still committed to this mobile force that he has. Because just like I said, the same with the Knights being able to deny resources, the same goes for the Ghazi Raiders. They're a little bit faster, and once they get on top of something like this, things start heating up. But instead of having spearmen at home like any normal person, this man, he sets the Knights on duty, and they're going to be having a watchful eye. Now, these Knights are not going to be running around for free. The Ghazi Raiders or the Ghazi Spearmen are standing around, but they do find a very good snack, and no deaths,
yeah, a lot of villagers just being harassed here just when they want to move out to the second berry spot there. That's a large berry spot as well. Just so much food sitting there for the deli. Luckily, though, Kiljardi had a couple of spears nearby, so he didn't lose out any villagers there at this point in time.
We can see that these guys are going to be connecting with Ghazi Raiders, meet the Knights pretty soon. But keep in mind, there are more Knights underway. And now the Ghazi Raiders running into the Knights at home and getting a little bit of a surprise with the archers also supporting them.
Yeah. Do you struggle with Knight production? Just
Yes.
download more Knights at moreknights.com.
And that's exactly what CSO, what he's decided to do. He's got 2 archery ranges, but he's like, I just needed 3 archers, brother. We good. So yes, he does struggle with it. So now he will just make more. He's got the resources for the chivalry now coming on in. He's had enough archers. I don't know what these 2 archery ranges are for, actually. Now that I look at them. We only have one producing. He's just...
Moral support.
Moral support, yeah. Just to say you have a diversity of units. He doesn't really need it. He's got knights.com. But we do see that these guys are going to be out here on the berries and a little bit susceptible. No tower. Those villagers are quite brave.
No sacred site captured up yet by Kiljardi, and this is actually already quite late at this point in time. Actually actively losing a lot of his scholars. Wait, Kiljardi, is he not... How many... He doesn't have any villagers on gold at the moment. He is not actively producing scholars. He's only got 1 scholar. Oh, this hurts terribly for him.
He just lost
What happened
2
there?
going to the sacred sites and probably felt like it was not worth investing at this point. But look at all those spearmen. They're building walls. But unfortunately, these knights, they can actually run by and do pretty well, especially when those aren't clumped up. But you don't want to overcommit here. There's a lot of Ghazis to support them. So it does feel like a pretty good composition for Kiljardi to hold this. But these knights, they are trying to find a way in. And CSO not having many raid groups, but we do see a market now. And farm transition. 10 minutes in?
What is... Is this the it's past 7 p.m. I'm tired Kiljardi right now?
But keep in mind,
Because it kind of feels like it.
it's 6 a.m. with CSO, so he... So
Yeah,
that's
but CSO is a degenerate when it comes to sleeping schedule. I'll have to say, like, this man, he's up when it's like 5 a.m. for him on the daily. This guy has a damaged sleep schedule that I think is beyond repair at this point in time.
He wants to be at the top of his game. He knows what he needs to do. The thing is, we are now seeing a lot of gold floating around for CSO. And even though he's making knights as much as he can, this definitely feels like it could be a very soon-to-be real institute. But the food is starting to get a little wonky here. And the problem is Kiljardi still has not gone back on gold. He is really, really suffering here. But now this is a pretty scary army. And honestly, with all these knights, I think CSO's got this.
The Ghazi. Kiljardi needs to keep the Ghazi safe. He's adding in so many more spearmen now behind this. The issue is spearmen are slow. They can't connect. They will not connect. At the same time, CSO with the archers, there's a little wraparound here. Actually, a couple of spearmen do come in. But, man, CSO, he's a knight connoisseur. Whenever he's got the chance, he is gonna, like, just get a couple of hits and take a couple of units down. Granted, he did actually lose 2 knights there, but also killed a couple of units. So destruction value, very even between the two. And now we've got the archers coming in there as well. The Ghazi, they cannot front line this. They want to get on the archers, not on the knights here in this one. But CsOH just doing a great job of just rotating in with the knights and the archers rotating through. Now kiting all the way to his own wall, and looking at the destruction value, it's just rising for CsO a lot more than it is for Kiljardi, as he is actually getting a good couple more archer kills here in now towards the end of the trade. So overall, still a fine trade, and Kiljardi just managed to capture up his first Sacred Site behind us. CsO also not immediately committing to Castle Age. He is making more and more knights behind this. Overall destruction value, very even at the end of the day between the two.
Actually quite surprising to see how well Kiljardi microed that and dealt with those knights. You could see CsO doing everything to get those boys to the back, but both of these guys not playing on their optimal server. They do both play on above 100 ping, so those small movements are a lot harder to execute. But these guys, they don't have the German healthcare system, but they do have the UK one. It takes a while to kick in, but it will get the job done. So they're waiting for that one to kick in, and you guys can see it's ticking slowly, but it's doing work.
UK teeth healthcare coming in, and it's working. It's working. But yeah, speaking about ping, like, do you know CsO's effective APM typically in games? It's usually around like 120 to around 150.
Okay.
Like CsO's APM is deceivingly slow. He's more about efficient clicks than many clicks.
I'm actually very surprised to hear that, because the way he controls his units, he definitely does not spam. Look at these knights. They know this man is hungry. They see it. So they know this is a ticking time bomb. So are you telling me that CsO is just not... He doesn't waste his time... Doesn't waste clicks at all? Not like the rest of the pros who play at like 300, 400 APM?
I'm gonna say there is dozens of us. Dozens. And we don't spam click. That is like... Not everybody is coming from StarCraft. I'll put it like that.
What's your APM?
Around 180-ish.
Wow! Okay. I remember seeing Recon play, and I was like, what is going on? This man, he's clicking. And he's just doing it slowly, but he was doing it so effectively. And that's the first time I saw someone not coming from StarCraft playing Age of Empires. And they still do pretty well.
Yeah, Recon from Age of Mythology as well, and just in general, players from Age of Mythology, like when we saw like players like Viper, for example, play Age of Empires 4, it was also very relaxed.
I love that you said there are dozens of us. So out of the thousands and thousands of people who play, there's like 36 of you boys.
At the pro level. At like the high competitive pro level. Yeah, there isn't that many at the high competitive pro level at the moment, which do click slowly, but CsO is definitely one of them.
Okay. Well, with these archers, though, it feels like those spearmen are going to be in for some trouble. That feels like we're getting to that point where the archers can actually take on the Ghazi Raiders. Oh, not there yet, but it does look like they can properly two-shot these. Beautiful focus fire here by CsO. Look at him targeting those spearmen.
The Ghazi Raiders are going to have a really tough time up against the Knights, so there aren't that many Ghazi Raiders. Spearmen tried to get onto the Knights, but it's so difficult, and CsO, he's got 23 Knights at the moment, just huge Knight mass, and the Ghazi count is shrinking with every single engagement here. But is there enough Knights? The Ghazi Raiders actually able to take down all of the archers here at this point in time. It is just Knights against mostly Spearmen now. And this means that CsO, he's actually in trouble here at the moment. His army getting completely counted out, and now we do hear the brace sounds coming in as a lot of the Knights are getting stunned. A lot of Knights are very weak, getting taken down. But the Spearman count is equally shrinking at the same time. Villagers also pulling the shifts. CsO, he's actually winning the fight here. The villagers acting as a meat shield, it's a necessary sacrifice, and there aren't actually even that many of them going down. CsO wins the fight here.
He actually takes down this massive spearman mass with knights and a handful of archers. Villagers looking amazing. They're angry, they're fighting, and it is a distraction. Back to work, boys.
But behind this, we do see the Castle Age coming in for Kiljardi. Issue is, he doesn't actually have that many scholars, so even if he gets up to Castle Age, he isn't necessarily going to like get his upgrades in super quickly. And CSO isn't that far off from his own Castle Age behind this. We also have a pretty decent farm transition at this point in time already from Kiljardi.
That is a lot of food. I must say, I've never seen this many farms in Feudal from a Delhi player, but he respects the fact that the knights are so mobile. The problem is just, how does he remax from this? It feels like he had invested so much. And getting back from this does feel so difficult for him. CSO now getting ready for the age up. You can see more villagers looking to work, but we'll see what CSO goes up with. He's still got a pretty heavy amount of knights, so Royal Institute would not surprise me. Guildhall. He's playing this safe, Crackedy. He says, we can play the long game. Watch me.
Indeed, Guildhall leaving himself that chance open to just go for a little sneaky Imperial Age at any one point in time once enough resources have been accrued in there. Kiljardi, he's adding in an elephant. We talked about it. Elephant. Pumbaa. Well, not Pumbaa. What's the other one? Dumbo. Coming in here. Exploring the entire Disney universe today. Quite good at taking down these cavalry units, especially since the knights are still in feudal age, at least for the time being. They will be upgraded relatively quickly, though.
And with these knights, he's able to shut down these relics. You can scream to the skies, do your prayers, but you're going down, brother. And he goes down. Very intimidating, Mr. Knight. Good job.
Yeah, CsOH doing a great job of just making sure that Kiljardi isn't getting any of these relics for free. He's got a unit on every single one of these relics in the middle of the map, just making sure that Kiljardi can't just send a scholar out to secure those. Knights also getting found out here from Kiljardi, so he tries to kill the knight that was guarding the relic, but at the same time, there's just a big ball of knights from CsOH chasing after. Veterancy upgrade coming in on these knights as well. And CsOH behind this is starting to add in Arbaletier, which will be a very good counter up against the elephant as well.
Now, dealing with those elephants have always been a pretty big question mark for a lot of people. They do feel quite hard to handle, but usually in numbers of more than one. And you can see Kiljardi, he is just going for the lances. The mobility definitely going to be so beneficial. The problem is just, there are walls coming, and apparently CsOH, he's learned from Big Brother Louis, and realizes, I need to not get raided by these bad boys. They have 4 legs, they run pretty fast. Oof, but look at these connections.
Has some very good charge connections coming in there. Definitely what you want if you see so at the moment. And Kiljardi, he is getting Honed Blades upgrade in behind this, which is going to be an additional +3 damage on his knights. It still feels like it doesn't quite compare to the strength of French Royal Knights, because they get that bonus in baseline just from charging. And while we don't have Royal Bloodlines here, CsOH does have the option of decreasing the cost dramatically of his knights with a keep influence around his stables, and that could be something that we'll be seeing very soon, as CsOH is actually gathering up a lot of stone at the moment. So is Kiljardi though, but he's gonna have to be careful. His units are walking the wrong direction. Knights are finding the connection. They're diving through. The villager's not running to the military units. He deletes one of the wall segments there, is able to get his knights in position, but did lose a couple of villagers there.
It does feel like that was a pretty amazing reaction time by Kiljardi, just making sure that he gets those villagers to safety. But those knights are starting to be a little bit spicy. I don't know how he is going to be able to manage these boys with the time that ticks. Because even when they do start getting on the farms, it's so hard to catch them. We got our second elephant coming out now, and I have a feeling this is starting to get to that point where Kiljardi is going to start being the one that pushes and not get pushed by CsOH the whole time.
Yeah, Kiljardi now trying to move out. He has set up in a bunch of scholars now behind this. And the scholars are quite great when it comes to getting these upgrades in a lot quicker than he has been so far. Another elephant also comes in, but we're now up to 12 Arbaletria, 22 knights behind this. Kiljardi is also adding in some spearmen, but CsOH still has a good amount of archers. Kiljardi now adding in some crossbows. That is the unit that I believe he will need here. Could also potentially just see Kiljardi opting for a Imperial Age transition behind all of this. Also managing to secure 2 additional relics now from the middle of the map. So a 3-to-2 relic split Honestly, Kiljardi, he could just get a keep up or try and get a keep up, secure some food somewhere. Like maybe a keep in the middle of the map where there's still the remaining berries and the gold vein as well. And from there on out, just try and get to Imperial Age, because Delhi has one of the best Imperial Age landmarks in the game, and just overall, the best Imperial Age effect, because once they go up to Imperial Age, they're immediately unlocking like 20,000 resources worth of upgrades. But it looks like Kiljardi instead wants to go for a fight here. I'm a little bit torn about this Whamen. This is not a fight that he really wants or needs at the moment.
You can see the army value already telling you exactly how this will play out. Now, even though he's got the elephants, that is a lot of Royal Knights. They are not going to be very upset about taking that. And funnily enough, Kiljardi is doing CSO a favor. He's just making sure that all these villages have a place to go to by cleaning up a few of these extra vills. Very, very wise from Kiljardi to do so. Now CSO...
Helping with overpopulation.
Yeah, of course! You have to trim the tops. But it does look like Kiljardi is going for that forward keep. It does look like a beautiful keep in the middle of the base on the sacred site that he desperately needs as well. And then we'll start to see those villager numbers pump up a little bit better in a few minutes. Now, the House of Learning is sending the whole civilization to school. You guys can see he's just researching his heart out, but it's not going as quickly as he'd want, because now without having that huge amount of scholars that you usually do, it doesn't feel that great moving out on the map and not having them with you while fully populating at the back of your base. But he just hasn't had the ability to have all of that gold for free. This feels like a very gold-starved Delhi.
It does, doesn't it? But at least Kiljardi does manage to get a little bit of gold control in now, as he has just secured a keep in the middle of the map. I say secure the keep. Are you ever truly secure against 27 knights?
And that's a good question, and it depends what he goes for here as well, because this can either be a greedy keep, and I'm going to say village fortresses might be a little greedy here, just because this is going to be the eco side of it. And then when those knights do get under the keep, they are going to be able to do everything they want to those villages. Now, Kiljardi, he's pretty good with these lances already, makes a hole in the wall, but doesn't get to go inside. We see that CSO is also being careful.
The guild hall looking like? How many resources in the guild hall at this point in time? 1,200. That's not that good at this point in time. It's not like instant Imperial Age level. I wonder if CSO took out some resource at some point here. Probably not. It was a relatively long feudal age between the two.
Doesn't feel like he's going to be able to go to Imperial anytime soon, but with all that gold floating, it does feel like an option. A nice little red palace to handle all of these boys knocking at his base. Considering he's going to be running out of gold pretty soon. I know there's still a little bit more than 3k between these two veins, but with the amount of army that CSO has, he definitely gets to spend that pretty quickly. Now, there's a big gold vein that he can potentially secure, but you also want to be keeping an eye on these sacred sites. Oh, he has a different plan in mind. He's going for the raid.
He is indeed doing that. There are still a good amount of lances from Kiljardi as well. So CSO, he's got to be careful with how exactly he uses knights, and it looks like Kiljardi... This guy is very aggressive. Instead of defending his base, he's just going to go for the all-in. Never mind, he's sending the spears back. Maybe a little bit indecisive, but at the same time, Red Palace is going to be coming in here from CSO with a lot of villagers on that. And once the Red Palace is in, it is going to be incredibly tough to end the game, because CSO has one keep here, the Red Palace there, and then another keep inside of his base. And his main TC is going to get a Red Palace emplacement on top of that. And now that the Imperial Age is about to hit, Kiljardi, he might find himself in the wrong point in the map. He is going to go for the guild hall, but the resources have already been taken out, and he knows that now.
That must have been a bit of a surprise, because he went for this pretty convincingly. Now, finding the guild hall already depleted, definitely not the greatest feeling in this case, but he is quite far off of Imperial himself. You can see he's got a lot in queue, but he's nearing that 200 population, which probably puts him in an okay position when it comes to thinking about Imperial himself. He's just going forward and killing some houses, trying to find a little bit of damage, get those knights to come right back. But the thing is, we see a lot of his army is still here at the back, and this could still be a pretty pretty scary fight, especially with these upgrades almost in. Crackedy! It's happening! 20 seconds till destruction.
Oh my god.
It's a tight fit. Ooh. They've got big booties and
Dumbo
they struggle to work. Just in time.
CsOH, we've seen in time and time again going for these like surrounding maneuver plays. This time around, though, Kiljardi is going to make it out alive in time, and he's also working on his own H-up, and mangonel shots, great connections.
Beautiful hit there by KJ. He is doing such a good job at just target firing. Let's see if he can get another good one, but the Knight surround is pretty decent here on all of the Gazis as well, and the mangonels are not getting their shots off. They do make a beautiful connection here on the back line, and it does look like a tough spot, but behind this, all of the crossbows are now the target, and the elephants are doing their best to break it down. Kiljardi, numbers are looking pretty decent for him.
It's a great fight here for him. He still has the red palace emplacements to fall back onto, though. Kiljardi, that's a lot of villagers moving forward for a potentially aggressive keep to follow up on.
That was
Palace of the Sultan also. That's a very far forward. Okay, that is a very aggressive Palace of the Sultan here from Kiljardi in the middle of the map. I hope that's not gonna bite him in, like, later on, but has enough resources for a follow-up keep. I just don't think he can put it too aggressively, because let's not forget, CsOH, he does still have that red palace, those red palace emplacements. It is very difficult for Kiljardi to end the game from this point on, and he is idling a lot of his villagers at the moment as well, here out in the middle of the map.
Now he's gonna get these free elephants, but the problem is, even though you get these free elephants, they are, you know, they can still die, and they don't run that fast. These boys, they've got a really fast feet. And now, he's got the university, he's already got biology, I believe, right? I think so. Or do French get the biology as well? I was gonna think because of the royal bloodlines. Do they get both?
No, they only get the unique one. They only get the unique one.
Thank goodness.
The Royal Institute just makes them get them in carcelations instead of the... Instead of an Imperial Age.
Thank goodness. I was about to make a Reddit thread about French. Whew, guys, Reddit thread averted. Now, it does feel a little bit tough to get Kiljardi to get this to tick, because the problem is he needs time for these elephants. The thing is, CsOH, he's looking at killing, and now stone walls are going to make this a little bit harder, but Kiljardi is in a pretty decent spot when it comes to putting on a little bit of aggression, but it feels like this red palace, it's got him. He doesn't know how to break this just yet, or whether he even needs to go for this, but now the forward keep is just going to make this even harder. He needs some pretty good siege to take this down.
It's also going to be quite tough for Kiljardi, because French have some really, really good bombards, but looks like Kiljardi might just lose a couple of villagers here. Now the stone walls are coming in, and there's the spearmen just in time here now in order to defend up against that. I mean, at this point in time, what Kiljardi just needs is to get up to like 20, 25 scholars, get all the upgrades in, and then you just flood elephants and support with only trash units. Just archers, normal archers, spearmen, Ghazi raiders. You don't need anything fancy like hand cannoneers, just elephants and trash units to support.
It does look like he is struggling a little bit on the wood department though. And the villagers are quite far out, but with having all these keeps, he's probably pretty okay just making all of these. Knights, though, they're looking for some damage. A few of them do sneak in. The stone wall does not extend all the way, and a few of the boys will pay the price. But again, that's a lot of keeps, and he can remake these pretty quickly. A few of these, I guess, trash units are moving out now.
Kiljardi losing a couple of villagers here, though. With village fortresses, it is easy enough for him to replace them at this point in time. A couple of knights do get caught there, but they just run past. They are very mobile here at the end of the day. And CsOH, somehow he made it through there to try and harass on the... well, not harass, but get the outpost up and secure the gold vein there. That might be something that Kiljardi ends up seeing, though.
And will he be able to do anything to it? We see the two knight groups meet. They are now going full raid mode. But the interesting part in this is there's a bunch of villagers just mining gold behind Kiljardi. And him killing villagers here is probably a lot more important than just standing at the front here trying to break through this red palace. We do have a bombard now, but the red palace...
Oh, he's got to be careful.
It can fire back hard.
Yeah, Kiljardi has to be so careful here. He does have a lot of tower elephants now. A couple of bombards as well. As long as there aren't any villagers or any units inside that Red Palace, the bombards are actually going to be able to do decent damage to it. I say as long as that's the case, but the horseman just ran in. First elephant down, second elephant down, third elephant down, fourth elephant down, one elephant. Two elephant. Oh my god, it keeps going. Kiljardi, what are you doing? Wake up! There's no waking up from this nightmare.
He's losing every single elephant to this Red Palace, and even though the horsemen do pop out and he does lose the Red Palace, that damage has been done, and replacing this is going to be so difficult. The knights are currently everywhere. Kiljardi killing a few villagers here at the back though, but this is such a difficult position to come back from, because now CSO, you can see what's in queue. That's a lot of horsemen and a lot of villagers that are about to die because they're running for their damn lives.
I mean, Kiljardi, he's still fine. Actually, never mind. There's 5 cannons, yeah. He's not still fine. This is starting to become really difficult because now he's on the back foot. He doesn't have all of his upgrades in yet. He never really reached past the 20 scholar mark. He's not getting economy upgrades behind this. He's not getting blacksmith upgrades behind this. And he's just going to call it.
That leaves CSO with a 2-0 so far. Looking pretty good, but I do feel like Kiljardi did have an opening there a few times. And he held against this matchup pretty well. So I feel like Kiljardi, he can still pull something out of the hat. Definitely. These
games have been close.
It wasn't a stomp, and I think that's what a lot of people may have predicted this to be. The CSO Kiljardi, because Kiljardi has been gone for a while. I believe he was on vacation. And CSO, he's been clapping cheeks for a while.
Yeah, CsOH, he's been taking names left, right, front, and center, just overall proving that he is a very, very dominant player. Well known as the number 2 from China at the moment, next to Louis MT, of course. But CsOH up against Louis, those are always fun games where CsOH tends to take like a lot of games off Louis as well. So these two are very, very close to each other in skill. And CsOH just really putting on a show every time we see him at the moment. His performance is just absolutely stellar, but I do believe that we're very quickly going into our game number 3 now. Potential match point here for CsOH up against Kiljardi. It's going to be Japan up against Rus on Relic River.
Let's go on in. And we are in, ladies and gentlemen. We have some scout action, aka nothing else happening in Dark Age. Ladies and gentlemen, let's press that button and see where we're going. Now, what I do notice here is a green dot, and that is probably the only action we're going to be seeing for a while. But Kiljardi is aware of this, and that is the key here. Understanding that your opponent is going for this part is going to be quite important, because now he knows he needs to respond to this. And knowing CsOH, he doesn't mind playing against this type of thing. Now, him playing Rus, Kiljardi, he's probably going to be okay just denying that dock with a few scouts, or he could just go and push the deer and not care about the dock whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing, right? Like, Japanese, they're really, really good on these hybrid maps. As long as there's just a little bit of food available to you on water, you are going to be able to just get that dock up and get a great amount of economic scaling here as well. Kiljardi, on the other hand side, he is playing as the Rus, and there are some great wood lines on this map. And obviously, Rus, they can get a really, really good... He's not stopping at 3 scouts, Whamen.
Yeah, he's going for more. He's going for 5. I thought this was
He wants to burn down the dock?
Yes, he does. The man is going to keep things fresh for us today, but the thing is, this is so expensive. Just going for something like this early is so expensive, because it delays your age up significantly. Against the civilization that, yes, delayed theirs as well, but
I mean, he wants to go for it anyways. Yeah. But he wants to go for these scouts sooner or later anyway, since he will go pro scouts. And the timing, the age-up timing, isn't that bad for him here at the end of the day. So maybe this is worth it, as the scout does have the same burn damage as a spearman here, for example. Now 3 scouts over here burning down the stock. This stock is going to go down reasonably fast. He can pull 2 more scouts there as well. There we go. Scout number 4 now arriving here as well. So yeah, the dock should be going down reasonably fast. And that's 150 resources down the drain here for CSO. Potentially more if he's not able to get another dock up. But I do see a small little green blip there at the bottom of the screen. So CSO looks like he's going to be able to get another dock up here eventually. And with that, it means that the fishing ships aren't going to go completely idle.
And him getting a Cocker Township, the question mark is just whether he's actually going to be able to do some damage. Because with those, yes, you can disable some things, but Rus isn't really a civilization that goes out under the TC. Luckily, though, for him.
CSO lost his scout to the TC.
Oh, he did?
CSO lost his scout to the TC from Kiljardi, and he is now spreading his sheep into every direction there. How did that happen? That is not something that you typically have happen in a game here.
Yeah, we've actually seen this, I think, Lucifron as well. He ran a little bit close to the TC side, and it happens to the best of players. That we can now officially state that good players or great players can still lose their scouts. So Twitch chat, YouTube chat, I'm sure you guys all relate to this. Now take a note from CSO and split your sheep into 3. Less chance for it to get picked up. But this is now a civilization that doesn't mind actually, staying under their TC. The thing is just with the Cocker Township, he is going to be able to arouse these wood lines. So this is probably going to be where things get a little difficult.
And the dock did go up here at the end of the day for CSO, so he will be able to keep his fishing ships working still.
For now. But with the Shinobi, he might be able to shut down some of the scouting, but instead of the Shinobi, he says the junk will do the work. Now we'll see where that first Shinobi is going. The man looks like he's heading straight for the dock, because these scouts are doing some good damage.
Yeah, the dock once again just taking a lot of damage here overall. Kiljardi, he should at the very least get the dock to burn. That is like the main thing that he wants to do. He is also dancing around a little bit with the scouts here, but just because he wants to make sure that if there's a demo ship coming out, he's not just going to lose all the scouts. And it looks like CSO is also pulling back that villager to try and get some repair going on that dock, but the Shinobi will be there in order to help that villager survive. The Shinobi just overall just doing a lot of damage here to the scouts. But Pro Scouts is in. Kiljardi up to 6 scouts at the moment. Will be able to bring back a lot of deer here potentially, but the Shinobi will still make this difficult for him.
The singular Shinobi, because we can see CSO is not investing in any more. He is still running 8 on wood, so not expecting something too fast in terms of castle. He is getting some responsible upgrades between this as well. So now this is going to mean that these Pro Scouts are going to kind of be left alone to pick up whatever they want. And this might be a little dangerous, but at the same time, if CSO does go for castle, does Kiljardi actually have the opportunity to shut this down?
Very responsible castle agent. Kiljardi, he is heading in early night here, actually. That's very surprising. Probably just wants to try and get rid of that Shinobi here, as he is harassing those pro scouting scouts at the moment. There we go. Night is coming in. Shinobi, he sees that and he realizes, okay, I'm not about that business. I got better things to do. But Knight wants to make sure that the Shinobi knows that his business is his business as well. Shinobi, though, actually running over to the airship.
Wow.
Yeah, Knight thinks better here at the moment. He does not want that business after all.
This is definitely ensuring that the pro scouting can happen smoothly. But we see a few more knights in queue, and having those many knights, it does feel good when it comes to raiding, especially. But this is a pretty big investment when it comes to slowing down your castle age. However, CSO is also slowing down his own. We can see he's building a tower on his gold now, just trying to be safe. But then he should be clean to go right through the castle from here. Now, getting a tower out here on the berries as well is going to be so important just to extend that food, because he didn't go for the landmark that provides infinite food. So he realizes he needs to be responsible about this, even though he's got the fishing as well. Those are just 3, now 5 ships, making sure that he gets a little bit more income.
Yeah, behind this as well, just having... Ooh, we do have a little raid here potentially coming in. Kiljardi doesn't quite commit there. Second outpost is now being rushed up. 2 Shinobis there in order to defend. Knights realize, okay, 2 Shinobis, that's a little bit too much there for them to take on. Kiljardi's still going for more Knights here at this point in time. A little bit surprising, I'll have to say. And the CSO, he's getting very close to the age up, and I mean, he's already got Tower upgrade. He's got the double wheelbarrow replacement upgrades for the Japanese here, so he is gathering from these berries at lightning speed.
Now, I love to see that he's actually using these Shinobis to deny the deer, but these guys are just causing a little bit of a delay. Kiljardi knows that he might need to go age up. I say this, and I see he's getting wheelbarrow and iron undermesh alongside this. He wants to dive, he wants to punish, and this could be very expensive because the whole point of Rus on this map is you are playing against another civilization that is on a very open field. You get to raid, but now he's just delaying himself significantly, and there are Shinobis that can help, but this feels so risky, especially now investing in those upgrades. He will be able to age up pretty soon, but the delay is still there, and those mounted samurai are going to love this.
Yeah, definitely going to love this. I mean, the Shinobi, they're also going to get upgraded behind this automatically as soon as CSO reaches the Castle Age. So they'll get a little bit more HP, they'll get a little bit more damage, and just overall be a bit more of an annoying unit then for Kiljardi. But now with the age up, we do immediately have that Shinto priest coming out. Actually puts the... he's going for double stable, and he puts the Yorishiro inside of the farmhouse to generate food now.
And that is very responsible again. The man knows what he sacrificed by going for Shinobis. And getting a little bit of that passive food is going to make the game a lot easier when it comes to constantly producing these units. Crackedy, can you please take over? GG Dog is having a seizure.
Sure, I'll take over. Yeah, at this point in time, like Kiljardi, a lot of these knights at the moment. The issue is though CSO, a lot of mounted samurai, and mounted samurai, they're very special in what they do, is they do have that deflective armor, and with deflective armor means that he is going to be able to absorb the charge completely from Kiljardi, who just now also reached the Castle Age. We should be seeing veterancy come in very soon on these early knights at the moment that Kiljardi has out there. Cavalry archers also a very decent option. You just need a lot of them out. And they can be quite expensive to mass up early on because you do need them in a really big mass here at the end of the day. You will need a lot of them because it is so difficult to get enough of these units out in order to start one-shotting mounted samurais. They do have the deflective armor, so one shot already gets deflected and do have really high health. But once you get there, once you do get there to that critical mass, it means that these cav archers, they become really dangerous, and the mounted samurai can't really leave the base early on until some walls come in.
Now, it does look like these knights are trying to find a little bit of damage, but it's a bit hard for these bad boys because there's just knight on knight action. GG Dog is okay, guys, don't worry.
Kiljardi, he's committing to more and more knights now. I mean, if he gets Boy's Fortitude, he can kind of offset the deflective armor there. He's also starting to collect some relics, which is definitely going to be necessary, but the Uberbannerman helping there as well. Kiljardi, he's in trouble, and he does decide to switch it up. We're getting some crossbows here now as well.
Now,
Economy's still looking quite good here for him.
Getting this type of composition as Rus, it does feel kind of strange. I see them on gold, I'm a little confused. I'm like, does he know he's playing Rus? We've been seeing a lot of Rus players just never touch that first gold, but you can see with the units he's pumping out, he needs this. This is not a standard horse archer build where you can just sit back, relax, and make horse archers run around and not spend any of your gold. Now, he does get +1 ranged armor, which I'm honestly a little bit surprised about, but probably... Oh yes, that was just because he was diving. Oh my goodness. Now,
behind this Kiljardi, can he get another relic in? At the moment, CsOH has just picked up the second one. And yeah, it looks like he is on his way to pick up a relic at the top side there. Just one relic remaining at the bottom side, and CSO actually does have the docks there and the ships there, so it's gonna be quite tough for Kiljardi to get there. And still, we do have the Shinobi just disrupting the pro scouts from doing their job.
Now,
oh, and at the same time, distraction. A lot of knights out of position as CSO, he hits the base. He's killing all the crossbows.
that is a very expensive price to pay by just chasing the Shinobi. And the thing is, they can get inside now. This feels like such a difficult position to be in because he's got his upgrades. They are absolutely destroying everything in their path. They don't need any ranged defense. They are just going straight for the base. And the thing is, the villagers may get inside, but not all of them will fit there.
Yeah, it is quite difficult to fit all of them in there. Warrior Monk could go for a Wallow. Defensive Wallow is coming in. Villagers trying to stand their ground here. Is able to protect a lot of them. Gets one mounted samurai, which does die shortly after.
It
looks like Kiljardi was able to secure a third relic behind this as well, but is it worth losing those 6 villagers? I'm not sure about that.
Now, this does feel like a position where CSO can decide the next step of this. We see the villagers now moving out onto the rest of the deer that has been left here. The Shinobi definitely doing work in denying. And that just shows exactly that CSO is on top of it, even in the late game, when you are starting to not worry that much about pro scouts anymore. But now these guys are running in to find a little bit more damage, can get caught up by the knights, but those deflective shields just doing really good work at absorbing those knight charges.
Yeah, they definitely do. Just being able to always get the better trade at the end of the day and in these one-to-one engagements with the army there. Means that you just can't really just let your knights fight and be happy about a fight. It'll always end up being a fight where you have to worry about just not killing more than you lose at the end of the day. Can we take a quick look at Kiljardi's knights? Does he already have Boya's Fortitude in at this point in time? Because it's definitely one of those upgrades which you do need.
Not yet. It does look like these are some extra squishy ones at that. We do see Boya's Fortitude not even being a thought yet, but now these knights trying to find some damage, but on the back line, there is a lot of raiding on the villagers, and we'll see how many CSO gets. Right now it's 7 villager kills, but they do look like they're met by some knights. Counterattack from Kiljardi, though. CSO is very quick to react.
Now Kiljardi wants to get the villagers that are sitting inside that outpost, but more reinforcement knights coming in, so Kiljardi, he's gonna have to back off at least for the time being. He found a target that he wants to hit. The issue is just, can he get there? Can he reasonably get damage in? Because CSO behind us, he is now starting to spam Onimusha, Onabugeisha in. So he's gonna have a very, very good meat shield and an answer to the crossbows from Kiljardi.
Kiljardi having 16 of them is not something that anyone would enjoy playing against, but we've seen the Bugattis. We've seen some pretty crazy switches coming out of people here too. So it doesn't feel like something that's going to be easy to handle, especially with Kiljardi not knowing what's about to happen. The Knights, though, they're taking a fight here. They do not have Boya's Fortitude. They do not have the same level of upgrades. And these Samurais are breaking through them, especially with the Bannerman being there to support.
The thing with the Onabugeisha as well is they just mass up so quickly. You just blink for a second, and especially since the barracks for Japanese only cost 75 wood, you can have so many production buildings up. And here we go, CSO, he's got enough units here to defend at least for the time being. And the Onabugeisha, they're now coming up from the bottom side, ready to intercept the crossbows on the return path. There we go. It's going to be another one of those situations where CSO, he's going to go for the surround. Onabugeisha pushing through, and that's entire army from Kiljardi getting cleaned up. Whamen, I think this might just be a clean 3-0 here, potentially from CsO, as Kiljardi's entire military gets cleaned up, and he just doesn't have the economy to keep pumping out units. Now there's 30 Onabugeisha and 15 mounted samurai marching towards the space.
And those little army of crossbowmen are not going to be a match against any of this. We can see Kiljardi is just making more crossbows, getting another TC.
And a second TC! Oh no.
He's on the siege, Crackedy. It looks like he's cooked. He's cooked.
Cook or get cooked it is, but this time Kiljardi is the lobster.
And the lobster, he is not even getting a medium rare. This man is fully well done. Unfortunately, villagers going down in every direction. That second TC being denied. And on top of that, the rest of the army being erased. That is a 3-0 for CSO.
Indeed. So CSO, he's going to be making it through to our upper bracket final. He's going to be facing off against Lucifron.